Welcome back, everyone. We are doing episode 7 of Conspirial. I'm your host, Addison Rose.
And I'm Mexican. I want loud laughter. Stop holding it in. Stop holding it in.
In case y'all were curious, I'm not Mexican. So, today we're going to explore another topic.
Oh.
Mexicanus. We're going to be talking about something that we haven't really covered before, but we're still tying into a lot of similar stories that we have discussed before. We're going to talk about cryptids today. Now, I know what you're thinking. No, I don't. I don't. Cryptids has a very broad sort of spectrum. You know, it could really be anything from like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and so we really wanted to try to focus on to try to do a couple of different aspects of it. Try to discuss things that maybe aren't as well known. You actually have like a relatively like personal connection to one of the topics that you're discussing.
Did you read my notes?
No, I didn't read your note. You talked about how like your mom saw one or whatever, and that's what you were going to be doing. So I was trying to. It's called a goddamn intro. You know, I'm just trying to lead them into it. So we're gonna talk about her personal relative case, and then fucking actors, man. And then I'm gonna tie in. I'm actually really excited about my story today too. So
good for you.
If Mexican, if you want to lead on with your Mexicrypt.
Right. The witch, the owl, the legend, La Lechuza.
Say the witch, the owl?
The legend, La Lechuza.
Okay. All right.
All
Thought
right.
it would be La Lechuza. No?
Wow.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
Wow.
Just got looking. All right. Tough crowd.
Like all Latinx stories, there are various versions of how La Lechuza came about, all similar in theme, a woman seeking revenge because men fucked her over. Fun fact, some of the origins go back as far as biblical times. That seems like a while ago. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all some of her villain origin stories today.
Wait, so you say biblical times, like
Yeah.
like in the Middle East, or like same time but like in the Americas? Is that a dumb question? I thought it was a good question. Also, I didn't know there
Where the Bible took place, I guess the Middle East.
Okay.
Alright, so one common theme revolves around children. Some say that La Lechuza targets children because her child was killed by villagers for a crime that she didn't commit. Or, and I'll tell y'all what La Lechuza is later. Or a drunk accidentally killed her child, and now she hovers around bars trying to snatch up drunks. Some origins say that it's women who sell their soul to the devil to gain the power of shape-shifting.
Worth it.
Others say...
Just to be able to shapeshift, that's so worth it. Sign me up.
Yeah, others say, but just to an owl. Others say that it's women who were accused of witchcraft and then murdered, so they come back as shape-shifting demons to get revenge. And a lot of people connect them to alien abductions or the Illuminati because a lot of people, before they get took, that they see an owl right before the abduction. So La Lechuza...
Sorry. Sorry. All right. That's my one owl joke for the day. I'm done.
Last one too.
Right. So La Lechuza is described as this big-ass owl with a haggard, twisted, old woman face like this one. And or just a big-ass owl. She's said to be a shapeshifter who is a regular woman by name.
My name? Oh, she's part horse.
By day and owl by night. She's known to lurk outside victims' homes. In order to lure you out, she will mimic a crying baby. Or in order to get your attention, she will whistle. And if you whistle back, she can take you. It's like a consent thing.
Sounds like a little pervy, though.
Yeah, you
right?
get took. So if you go outside and you hear a crying baby and you acknowledge it, you get took.
So let the baby die.
What's worse than a rapist?
Don't acknowledge babies.
What's worse than a rapist?
A child.
If you're a child, you'll get took. If you leave home angry after arguing with someone, you get took. Drive late at night, you get took. You're roaming around being drunk in the streets like me every weekend, you get took. If she appears in your dreams, someone you know is going to be dead as hell. If she shows herself to you but doesn't take you, that means something else is going to take you, something big, like a tornado.
She sounds kind of a bit of a downer. If you don't mind. If you don't mind.
I don't think any cryptid is an upper.
Alright. That's fair. I think Bigfoot's kind of...
An upper?
Yeah, he's just kind of chilling. He's out there.
That's Chewbacca. So, as a fellow Texan, I know your first instinct may be to shoot first and ask question later, or the police.
Yeehaw.
You can't do that, though.
Whoa.
Can't be doing that, because if you shoot any part of her, even just a feather, just graze a feather, you die. I don't know the science behind it, but that's what happens. So instead, in order to be prepared, you should carry a mix of salt and chili powder, and if she comes at you, you launch it. Like pocket sand. You could also say a complicated prayer, and you have to say it a certain way, and then say it backwards a certain way. But I don't know it, but it also said you could cuss her out, and that'll work. That'll do the trick.
Huh.
So don't memorize the prayer.
So pocket sand and cursing. Okay.
Yeah. So a preventative measure is to hang a rope with 7 knots outside your home to let her know that you're a blood too. Gang gang. She's said to control the weather and electricity. For example, if you're driving by and she's around, what?
No, it's just so much for an owl. Like, how many owls do you think got, like, fucking chili flakes just thrown in their eyes? It was just
it's
a
not
normal
just
owl.
Like,
I know, right.
If you see Hedwig, don't chili powder her.
Yeah, but you don't know. She's whistling at you.
It's a big ass owl, like human-sized owl.
Oh, like the thing in Avatar.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
Lechuza. Okay. Gotcha.
You could say she's kind of like the cryptid Dexter. She usually goes for, like most of us in high school did, she goes for the bad boys. She goes for people that have hate in their heart or have done really bad shit to women. Gang gang. So here are a couple of Texan encounters of her. In Santa Rosa, Texas, near the border of Mexico, there was a mass sighting of La Lechuza in 1977. She was seen on top of a tree, then she flew towards a woman's home. She must have had hate in her heart or something. Went to homegirl's house, scratched up the door, and tried to get in. There was neighborhood dogs around, and they all jumped in and chased the Lechuza away. The next day, all of the neighborhood dogs were found dead, and there were a lot of witnesses that saw this owl chase this woman, scratch her door, owls chase it away. All the dogs dead as hell.
Why do you gotta hate on the dogs, man? Like, yeah, like go after like the dicks in the world, but leave the dogs alone. Why do you gotta?
So Santa Rosa wasn't the only town that had a visit from La Lechuza in Texas. In 1975, Robstown, Texas hosted La Lechuza as well. In November of 1975, Robstown police was plagued with calls of a giant bird with a human face. Some callers said it was a woman's face. Some callers said it was a man's face. But everybody agreed there was a big-ass bird with a humanoid face flying around, terrorizing their town. Later, 2 San Benito policemen that's another city in Texas, would spot La Lechuza flying over a lagoon, prompting a local radio station to offer a reward for anyone that caught her and brought her in.
Well, what kind of reward are you getting from a radio station? Okay. Do they know about the chili powder? Doubt it.
This guy from Brownsville named Alberico Guajardo in Brownsville called the police and told them about an encounter he had with the Lechuza. He said that he heard banging outside of his trailer, and when he stepped out, he met himself with a 4-foot-tall bird with giant eyes and the face that seemed more like a bat than an owl. He was quoted saying that animal's not from this world. January 22nd of 1976, Corpus Crispy. I can't talk today.
It's crispy.
Corpus Crispy times. Robstown Police Detective Captain Melvin Arnold finally caught La Lechuza. Turns out a couple of local teenagers had built a huge dummy owl and hung it on the tree. And after police confiscated the dummy bird, there was no longer any sightings of La Lechuza in Robstown. So were all the sightings of the dummy the dummy bird, or just some? I guess we'll never know. Who's knocking?
The Lechuga.
The Lechuga. I want to end my segment with my mom's encounter with La Lechuza. La Lechuga, romaine. Salmonella.
Lechuga de
Brought
Diablo.
to you by La Lechuga. Picture it, 1970s Honduras. Five snot-nosed kids and La Lechuza.
Eat your vegetables.
My grandfather was an owner of a small local casino where, and like the amazing father he would take his kids, my mom and my uncles,
right,
to it and would teach them how to gamble, from Russian roulette to 21 to throwing craps. These kids knew it all. After they would spend time with their father, my grandfather, they would come back and end the day at my mom's bar, my grandmother's bar. Knock back a few, I'm just kidding. And they would just play around in the back room until she would close up, and then they would go to bed. I didn't really ask the layout of this place. I'm assuming it was like in that, maybe a garage in the house. I don't know. But it was all relatively in the same area. So, every night they would, after my grandmother would close up around 10, she would be back there and they would be playing 21, blackjack. They would be playing in a little round table like that with each other, and she would tell them, y'all keep gambling. La Lechuza's gonna come get y'all. Y'all are doing bad things.
Is this still when they're kids?
This is when they're kids,
Jesus,
yeah.
Okay.
These are like 10-year-old and down.
Hustlers.
Hustlers.
Every
Smoking
day
cigars, they have the little caps on. Hustling each other. She would tell them, like, hey, guys, you guys need to go to bed. If y'all don't go to bed, if y'all stay up late, Lechuza's going to get you. And they were like, whatever. Them, per usual, not giving a fuck, would stay up later and later every time. One night in particular, they got the creeps for some reason. They were like, you know what, for extra protection today, we're going to lay out the playing cards in a cross form on the table. And they were like, bet.
Right.
So they all agreed, and they all went to bed a little after 11.
Jesus loved gambling.
They gambled with Jesus' life. Yeah. That's what they did.
He is quoted saying, "Hit me."
Jesus Christ.
Is that too rough? All right.
That same night around midnight, they heard it. They heard a giant bird flying outside of their window. Wonder if that makes the noise. And my mom, with a chill up her spine, gets up and looks around her room, which she shared with her mom and two of her brothers. Their mom, my grandmother, fast asleep, and two of the brothers, wide-eyed, because they heard what my mother heard. The three get up to investigate, and they run into the other two brothers that were sleeping in the next room. They meet about halfway in, and they quiet down, and they listen. They hear the bird. And not just like little bird, like
talons.
They hear the talons scratching on the table, like they hear a mess. They hear
inside already.
Inside it, where they're little, they hear.
Where's the chili powder?
Yeah. They hear the wings flapping. They hear and they're freaking the fuck out, right? They don't know what to do. They run back to my grandmother's room and they all huddle up on her. She's still asleep. She don't give a fuck what's going on. She had a long
kids.
fucking day. And,
she told him not to be fair, though.
To be fair, she said that's gonna happen. And let's just say they never stayed up and gambled ever again. Now, I did ask her if she remembered if anything was knocked over. She went back into the room the next day and saw it. She's like, I would be lying to you if I said I remembered. She's like, but she did remember, like, hearing it squawk, hearing, like, the talons, and she remembers that, like, clearly. And then they just never stayed up late again. So don't gamble, kids. Stay in school.
Oh, that's creepy as hell. By the way, like I like. Once I found out this bird was 4 feet, like that's a fucking dinosaur. Like that's not just like a Polly want a cracker. That's Polly. Polly won't take that cracker. You know what I mean?
That's my cracker now. And you're the cracker.
I mean, that's wild. That is absolutely wild. And so we really don't like discussing our topics like before we do them, right? And like we'll casually like mention something, just kind of like make sure we're not going to do the same thing, right? And then
when I saw him researching, and I saw an owl.
Yeah, I was going to do this exact same one, and she was like, no, that's not it. So I stopped reading or whatever, but like my topic, and once I get to that point, we can
meet in the middle.
Yeah, might have our own thing that maybe what my cryptid, what my guy saw, possibly could have been and we'll, because there were certain similarities with that, and then like I have let's just get into it, but okay. we'll break it down afterwards. So my cryptid has been named Frank Shaws Gargoyle.
Where's Frank Shaw?
Frank Shaw was a dude that saw
his particular gargoyle.
Apostrophe S, Frank Shaw's Gargoyle. And when I researched this, it's just one of the wildest stories I have ever had the privilege of like looking up. And last week I did the Matador, now ex-Matador, who has a YouTube channel. I'm still bringing that up,
by the
way.
Up.
Yeah, he
got way more followers than us.
A lot more. Murdered everyone, and then anyway.
They kind of deserved it. He was like Lechuza, but in real life, just went after assholes.
Just watch last week's, and then come back, and then hooray! So Frank Shaw's Gargoyle is a bizarre creature that was sighted in 1986.
Where?
In Houston, actually, at the at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. So Frank Shaw was an archivist for NASA at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, right? So this happened on a stormy evening, of course, because they love stormy evenings. Can't happen.
Controls the weather.
Do you think she made it stormy?
She makes it stormy. That's
Hell yeah.
Stuff that
you like this nice weather?
Fuck it up.
Yeah. So he had a horrifying encounter with a jet black winged monster.
Winged?
It's that old Shakespearean thing where I have to pronounce every.
You're making fun of me and you said winged.
Winged?
Yes, winged.
Winged.
Is it winged?
Winged?
I think it's winged.
Winged?
You know what? I'm not a grammar professor. We're just. Are you really coming up on my slip ups when you
had?
There was a lot.
Corpus Christi. Corpus is crispy.
No, that's you adding stuff. That's just me mispronouncing.
Winged.
Okay. Okay. So when this happened to Frank Shaw in 1986, he didn't tell anyone about this so this story only broke 18 years later in 2004 when his daughter finally came forward. And he was like, this has to be talked about. So let's get into the event, right? So her dad returns home late one night after work, which isn't a big deal if you work for NASA, right? There's a lot of late nights. I'm assuming you see space better at night. I don't know. I'm assuming it's not. Assuming it's not a typical 9 to 5. Like, what's going on in space?
I like how I looked up here for reference.
Yeah. So here's no. So he comes home one night and he is just completely disheveled, right? Like he's pale white, freaking out, and
it's been my grandpa's casino.
Right. So the mother and Desiree is the daughter, and they were both quite concerned, like what's going on, right? So he explains to them what had actually happened. So Frank was leaving his shift at NASA and walking out to his car, and so he's walking to his car and he just so happens to look up, right? Just as you do. It's just a stormy night. He just looks up and he sees this thing. He looks up at this ghastly, grim, black, gargoyle-like figure perched up on the edge of one of the Space Center's buildings, just looking at him.
That sounds like La Lechuza.
Right. So it's just looking at him, right? And so he's immediately frozen. Like, he just sees this thing beating down.
He was driving or walking?
No, he was walking to his car at this point.
Okay.
So he's walking to his car, looks up at the building, like, see you tomorrow kind of thing, right? And just sees this thing perched up, staring at him. Right?
Never look at the building.
So he sees this, like I said, this jet black humanoid that seems to have like a large cape across its shoulder.
Oh, he's seen Batman.
But he soon realizes that it's not a cape, but two massive bat-like wings sticking out on either side of its wrinkled flesh. He was close enough to it that he could see the wrinkled flesh once he got a better look at it.
No feathers?
Frank had not only seen this thing, but this thing was looking right at him, right? Almost as, and he was mentioning this later, saying that it seemed like this monster was getting joy out of the fear that it caused him, right? Fucking kinky shit. So
Sorry,
then
there's some stuff going on behind the scenes causing me fear.
So
I was still laughing at that. I'm sorry.
We're just gonna call this thing the gargoyle for right now, because there's a lot of things that it could have been. It's called Frank Shaw's Gargoyle, so we're just gonna call it the gargoyle, right? The gargoyle then unfurled its wings, making a crackling noise as it extended its wings, right? So it's just going. That was audible during a stormy night, right? So I want you to think how loud this thing has to be on top of a building, and he could hear it crackling. And this is one of the things that scared him the most, was it? So then it took off and headed straight for Frank.
Hell.
He could hear the howling gusts of the wings flapping. In a storm. It's raining. It's not quiet, so this thing is huge. And, Frank did the typical white woman thing and was fumbling with his keys to get to his car. We got to do better about this, white people. Every other race seems to be on their shit. Except for us. Like, we either trip, we fumble our keys. Like, no, it's do or die time,
Their
alright?
keys always have the click on it too, but nope.
No, it was 86. So
you're telling me there was no clicks in 86?
I don't know, but I'm not going to confirm that it did, right? So what was crazy about the crackling is that once he heard the crackling, because he's frozen at this time, right? He's just scared shitless at this thing staring at him. But the crackling was so loud that it woke him up. Or it brought him to his attention, right? He goes, "Oh, I gotta go." Like, nope. Once you hear the he's out, right? So that's when he fumbles his keys, right, as he sprinted towards.
Where he fucked up is looking back in the building. He should have just.
Yeah, but it never. So he obviously gets in the car, drives off, and is just so tunnel focused that he doesn't even know if this thing's following him anymore. But it got up and was flying towards him, and he was like, "Nope, I'm out." Right? So he tells his story to Desiree and the mom. And they're terrified as well, right? And so they beg him to not tell anyone about this. Because he's got a good NASA job, they're going to think that he's crazy, and they're afraid that he's going to lose, his credibility in his job, right? It's like, no, you work for NASA, like
you
this
can't
is...
be seen shit.
Right, and this was probably around the time where you only needed one income to own a house. It's not like now where the mom could have been like, "I got you while you find a new job. Like, you need to come forward," right? Or
ladies,
whatever.
Don't ever have a man. He should be providing for you.
Yep. So Frank initially agreed with him, right? Because he's like, "You're right. Like, I can't tell anyone. I don't want to lose. It's NASA. I mean, it's a cool job to have, right?" So. But then for weeks, he was having panic attacks and PTSD every time he left to go home, right? So he would still get in the car, would still be late, and he would freak out, right? Because he's afraid this thing is still going to be there, right? So for weeks, it's just haunting him, right? And so he went against his family and told his immediate supervisor, and he was scared that they were just going to ridicule him and make fun of him.
I would say he told Carrie.
No, not my immediate supervisor. I don't know, maybe his name was Carrie. I don't know, probably not. So he was expecting to be met with ridicule, but instead his supervisor told him that this was not the first time this thing has happened at the Johnson Space Center. About a month prior to his event, they started a file on this because 2 of the base's German Shepherds were murked. They were just brutally killed, right? So another thing that your Lechuga did after it killed the dogs. So it killed 2 of the base's German Shepherds, right? And the dogs' corpses were mutilated, and they were found in the exact same spot where Frank's car was.
I'm sorry, parking somewhere else.
Now, I'm not trying to tell NASA how to do their business, right? But if a couple of dogs get murdered, like horrendously, like just ripped apart, maybe you tell people. Maybe like, hey, it could be you.
Some of our dogs.
You remember Fluffy and Barks?
Barks.
They're gone. I don't know. I couldn't think of one after Fluffy. Spot. You want to call him Spot if we're doing that? About Barks. It's
Barks.
The one with Bite. What do you mean Barks has Bite? Nice root beer commercial there for you. And so, yeah, maybe you tell people, like, hey, something killed them. I don't know if it's, I don't know. Don't watch out. But, of course, it's a government agency in the 80s. They don't give a shit about nobody, right? So he tells the supervisor tells him all that, and he's like, great, right? What's going to happen next? So, naturally, it goes up the chain, right? His supervisor tells his boss, and it just goes up, right? So then they, and it didn't mention this, but the first, I'm gonna listen to your first thought whenever I tell you this, right? Yeah. So NASA flies in. Too soon.
Oh, okay.
No. Wait for it. Give it time. NASA flies in. Special security, NASA security from Arizona. Now, I don't know what NASA has anything to do with Arizona, but they bring in these 2 NASA security officials from Arizona to come.
They brought the Men in Black in.
Thank you. That's the first thing I thought of.
Agent K.
Like, oh no, we're bringing some NASA security officials from Arizona to come interrogate you for a bit. Fuck no, you brought in the Men in Black. You brought Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith from Arizona. That's exactly what you did. So they grill him for hours, right? Trying to figure out.
I saw a big ass bird.
Tells the whole story. I was like, oh yeah, did you hear about the German Shepherds? You hear about Barks? And they're like, yeah, a couple of days ago. And so yeah, he goes through it all. He's deemed okay. They believe the story, but they made it perfectly clear to Frank that it would be in his and his family's best interest
to shut the fuck up.
Exactly, to keep it to yourself. Which is why it took 18 years for Desiree, the daughter, to bring this forward. Because
she good?
Yeah, no, I mean, she actually, the reason why she told this story is that she told it to an author. And I was like, listen, my dad's story needs to be told. This is happening at NASA. Shit's getting real, right? So that's the story. So what could it have been? Right? Could it have been a gargoyle? I almost said cargoyle.
Cargoyle.
So
from Corpus Christi.
God. A gargoyle from Crispy. So there's actually another cryptid that they think it could have been, not Lechuga, but I'm sorry, I can't not call it
Lechuga.
No, what's it called?
Lechuza?
Lechuza.
Which means owl. It means owls.
Yeah, I just want to say
close to
lettuce. Don't order the wrong BLT.
Lechuga.
Be careful which BLT you order, because you might get bacon, owl, and tomato. Anyway, so there's another cryptid that was discovered in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas in 1976, so about a decade prior. They called it Big Bird, which isn't the best name. But it's called Big Bird, and I have pictures I'm going to show you. So first of all, these are the drawings that were made from Frank's version of the gargoyle, and we'll put this up.
Like my sister.
We'll put this up on social media. Daphne. We'll put that up. We'll put that up so y'all can see it. But that's
come over here
basically.
so they can see. See, we got a good. It was.
Oh no! Not our light. Hit you in the head. Who says she doesn't do her own stunts? Jesus Christ.
As you can see, identical.
Where were you in 1986?
She said my dad's balls.
Fix our light.
Thank you.
Fix our light. Watch your head.
Oh.
See, when I said fix it, I didn't mean turn it. Jesus Christ. How late is it for an abortion? Is 19 years too long? Okay. Just kidding.
Bring out the coat hanger.
So in the Rio Grande Valley, for those of you not from Texas, Rio Grande is south. So in the valley is South Texas in 1976, which stands for
Big Rio.
River Grande. So just so you know. So like I said, 1976, so a decade prior, most witnesses, and this is what, when I was doing this research, what you're talking about Lechuza, witnesses describe an unknown mysterious animal about 5 feet tall, featherless, and having a long beak, right? Frank's gargoyle was described as, so this is where it kind of differs, of it being a bird with a gorilla face, right? So it looked like it. Oh, you don't want to look at it anymore. Okay. So yeah, it was described as a featherless bird or a bat with like a monkey or a gorilla
it's
face.
kind of like my boy. What's his face?
Skinny penis.
Arsenio Hall.
Oh.
Alberico Guajardo.
Right.
He said like it was like a bat face more than anything else.
Right. So it had a long beak, bat-like wings, 12 feet long.
That's about how they say like how big, like they say like she has massive.
Yeah.
She has feathers.
Yeah. So dark red eyes, bald head, and a gorilla-like face. So imagine a beak but with a gorilla face is what this thing looked like, and it emits a loud shrill shriek. This is Big Bird, not the gargoyle, but this is who they think might have been the gargoyle, right? Big Bird's a terrible name. Work on that. So typically with the witnesses, after the shrill screech, the next day they would see 3-toed tracks along where they saw her. One witness, Armando Grimaldo, was actually attacked by it, right?
What the fuck? Was he out being drunk?
No, it didn't go into that detail, but I mean, teachers saw this, police officers saw this, students saw this.
Like my Lechuza.
Yeah. So Armando, he was just walking along. He hears the large wings and then turns around, and the talons grabbed him.
That's how they describe the Lechuza. Like she will grab you and she goes to eat you. I don't think I told anybody where she takes you, but she eats you.
So Tor shirt. So this is what was described as
we're saying 4 feet and 5 feet, but that's not that big.
As what Big Bird looked like. No, but if it's 5 feet tall with 12 feet. Is that
actually what they said it looks like?
Yes.
I thought that was a Pokemon.
No. So this is what they think.
I thought you were being funny.
No. This is what they describe as Big Bird looking like, right? So I mean, not a terrible, difference, but I mean, it was a stormy night when Frank Shaws saw something. What in the butt? Who knows what it really looked like, right? So there's also Big Bird happened. So that was about 10 years earlier, right? So when Frank's thing happened in '86, others think that it was and I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'm gonna do my best. A jabiru, which is a large South American stork that has
bringing babies.
That has a featherless face, and a long dark beak, and which it actually sometimes strays into Texas, right? So
well, that's what they said about La Lechuza, but they were like, how the fuck would it be in Texas?
So this is what the Jabiru looks like, and we'll put all these up for y'all to see. So I mean, if you wanna, maybe it was that's Big Bird, I know, but gargoyle. Maybe I doubt it would attack him, but others think, and I thought this was crazy. So the conspiracy theorists think that it was a pterosaur.
Like a
Pterodactyl.
dinosaur?
Yes, exactly. So pterosaur is the larger family of where pterodactyls come from. So some people think that it's just a fucking dinosaur that's still around, like the Loch Ness Monster and stuff like that. There's a couple of pictures of different types of pterosaurs.
But it don't have no gorilla face.
Who knows? Huh? Doesn't have. That's the thing. Doesn't
It
have
don't have
the
no bat face.
doesn't have all that. So
I think people can distinguish a big ass bird versus something that looks
prehistoric.
super natural.
Yeah. So I doubt that it's a pterosaur, but they mentioned it, so I thought I'd show it just for y'all to leave you up for your own decisions. But the funniest thing, I swear to God, when I was researching this, the funniest thing, in my opinion, that I have to show. So in all seriousness, that's the story. So I mean, if it's a gargoyle, obviously you want to think about the 90s cartoon, right? That they're stoned and it just comes alive. Right, yeah. Doubt it was a gargoyle, but the way that it looked with the face and the wings and whatever. So, hey-yo, rock hard.
Google Goliath from Gargoyle. And listen to his voice.
Was that not James Avery? Didn't James Avery do it?
I don't want to know who it is because you always ruin the voices.
Uncle Phil? Rip. You'll love Uncle Phil. Anyways, and Master Shredder, I think. He definitely was that too.
You always ruin
and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Master Shredder? That's James Avery. Yeah. Well, in the cartoon, obviously. I think we're getting off topic. No, that's Splinter. Anyway, so I was not familiar with this game, but apparently there's a card game that's like, and please don't come at me, but this is the best way I can describe it. It's like similar to like Pokemon and like Yu-Gi-Oh. It's called Nightfall.
Like I've had too much to drink.
Yeah, like that. So it's called Nightfall, and I swear to God, they have a card in Nightfall called Frank Shaws Gargoyle. Right? You can get it in mint condition for about 50 cents.
Oh,
and I'll read you the stats to it.
You should have ordered it.
Right?
It's
a beastie. I don't know what that means, kinky. But yeah, it says Frank Shaw's Gargoyle. So this had made enough rounds for it to be a card in this game called Nightfall.
Only Frank Shaw saw the gargoyle.
Well, the dogs did too.
They didn't come up and tell you.
Yeah, because they got murdered.
How do you know what they see?
Well, I'm assuming they saw what killed them. There was 2 of them. At least one did. It was like, and then, just done. Right? So, no, but, no, there have been other sightings of this thing, but this is the most famous one. This is what started it all. That's why they got the name the Gargoyle. But I'm going to read you about this card, right? So, like I said, in near mint condition, you get it for about 50 cents. Its ability, and I swear to God this is true, if a NASA symbol... Y'all are just clowning this guy. This guy had a traumatic experience.
The same after
No. He kept it secret for 18
and
years.
His daughter told him we're
gonna kill your family pretty much. Anyway, so if the NASA symbol is within eyesight, cosmic pages cost 1 less cosmic aura to contract. Now, don't know what that means, but it's just that if a NASA symbol is available, y'all are hoes for that. That's an ability. The arena, blah, 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 blah. Attack, skyscraper strike, which, once again, y'all are hoes for being on top. It makes you scared for 20 hits. You deal 10 damage to all opposing pages.
And German Shepherds.
So here's the metadata. Date of birth, 1986 in Houston, Texas.
They're wrong.
They're so wrong for all of this. Strong against lightning. Because of the storm, right?
Who did this?
I don't know. I know nothing about this game, but This was called Flavor Text. Having the misfortune to lock eyes with this beastie is known to fill even the bravest of caster with terror. It is as if your heart has been turned to stone. Y'all are hoes for creating this. This man had a real problem. Anyway, I was just like, because I was reading this website, I said, learn all about Frank Shaws Gargoyle. And I was like, bet! It's a card. It's like, I have a card. So, anyway, I don't know, what do you think about, now hearing yours, I mean, maybe there's like some overlap. Could be Lechuza. And I think
it could be her boyfriend, Lechuza.
Hey-o. Yeah, I mean, it's I swear to God this was an accident. How this we're not trying to reach at anything, but I mean
That's weird.
But I like how the Lechuza didn't come up with any of that, but Big Bird did. By the way,
Lechuza has giant ass talents. It make eye contact with you, and then it's like kicks your ass. Eats the fuck out of you.
So I feel bad for you, Frank. I'm assuming rest in peace.
R.I.P.
I hope Desiree got a lot of money from telling your story to the author.
I was just getting royalties for this bullshit.
I don't know, what do you get from a 50-cent Hairman card? I don't know what. But, yeah, I mean, just wild.
Skyscraper strike.
Yeah, you're clever. Very clever. I don't know how y'all did that.
Imagine your trauma being made into a card.
A card game, right? Anyway, so I mean, I had a lot of fun researching mine, and I'm sure...
I was creeped out researching mine.
Yeah, well, the fact that your mother had that experience,
I went and talked to my mom about it. I'm like, what you know about Lechuza? And she told me that story, and it was at night. She had her window up, and it was like a windy night. So then...
so she was like, this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down.
And I'd like to take a minute.
Sit right there. Like to how you became a prince of a Lechuga town.
Santa Rosa, Texas.
Yeah, just absolutely wild.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is that then I left to the living room later on, like probably an hour later. Like, it was late at night. She comes over here. She was like, you better stop fucking with me. And I said, what are you talking about? She heard like
after she told you the
story? like 30, 40 minutes later.
We weren't gambling.
I was not gambling.
Man, I'm gonna have to carry chili powder on me all the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the salt, and I'll get the chili powder.
Hot salt. Pocket chili.
So yeah, I mean that's this episode of Conspirial. I hope you enjoyed the different types of cryptids. We'll be back again next week.
Kids, don't gamble. Stay in school.
Carry chili powder, even if they call you weird. Because that's gonna be if you carry.
Don't work for NASA.
I mean, it's Space Force.
Space Force.
What do you think Elon Musk is gonna do against the goddamn gargoyle? You know what I mean? Like, hey, I know you're going to Mars, but
he's taking it.
What? You have German Shepherds? They're done. By the way, let's plug our stuff. If you have any suggestions or anything you want us to cover, any cool ideas.
If you have any stories of Lechuza, please let me know. I don't like to sleep.
And you can send that to us.
If you're Lechuza and you want to tell me your side of the story, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, Lechuza, come on.
He's done bad things to women. Get him.
Don't say that. Why would you say that? A, it's not true, and then B, she's gonna hear this. And do you have any chili powder here? I'm gonna take with it. No, you don't. You don't have paper towels. Get out of here.
He has 2 seasonings in there.
And none of them is chili powder. Okay, so send us your suggestions. Conspirial@gmail.com. That's CONSPIRIAL.
Follow us on TikTok @Conspirial.
Follow us on Facebook, Conspirial.
And follow us on Instagram @Conspirial _ podcast. I was struggling.
Let's try that again. That's Conspirial _ podcast.
And you can follow me @AnnaDez, ANNADEZ, because fuck Anna's with 1 N.
And I prefer to fuck mine with 2. You can follow me at Addison Rose Comedy. That's Addison, and then
Bully
Rose.
him into posting because he does not
Like
post.
the flower. Follow me more, and I'll fucking post more. Goddamn. Okay. We'll see y'all for Alleged Confessions. We'll be filming out here next.
Mom and Lechuza. Bye.
See ya.